Right. You can basically check whether the Visual Studio Code ID is installed in your machines. Right. Basically, if you open the Visual Studio Code ID, so it will be like appearing like this, and you can go to the file and you can create a new file. Right? You need to type the whatever the name you want with the .html extension. That's how you create an HTML file. .html create file. So I likewise that I basically have created a new HTML file. Right? So here actually we are not going to learn about something like a complete basic version of HTML only. After that we'll be learning about in the next week's CSS and JavaScript. And we are not going to do complex, like practical things. So basically, I just created the HTML page. And yeah, I'm gonna copy and paste my code to here. Or otherwise, you have the document here. And if you run and debug, web app pro. Right. I'm just going to demonstrate an other attribute I just talked about, right? I have anchor tag here. HTML tag if you don't have that whatever is starting from the website HTML like link and data tags, please remember that become a copy and paste करा के हरियाणा है. At the HTML document में extract के that's why I have copy and paste. So here you can see inside the body tag I have a particular ring, right? So I'm redirecting to this particular W3 school site and target self. I will tell that what is self later. But if you use the blank attribute, what happens is, right? The IDE itself is automatically suggesting what to put there. And if I hit the save button and run again, so this is the particular link. You can see if I use the blank attribute, it's actually I'm like opening in a new tab, right? Right. So blank opens the link document in the new tab. So you can basically have this kind of link in your HTML document and see whether how it works. So open the link document in the same window. A window the link will be open, right? You have the parent, open the link document in the parent frame. So that is a not common one. So open the link document in the full body of the window. Like open the link document in the full body of the window. So it will be opened as a new document. Upon that particular document and the frame name, open the link document in the name frame. So that is a not common one actually. So you can just try with this blank cell and the top, right? So, and there's another thing. The anchor tag and the name attribute used to create a name anchor. apart from defining the particular URL that you want to redirect, you can basically name the anchor tag, right? When using the name anchors, we can create links that can jump directly into a specific section on the page instead of letting the user scroll around to find what she is looking for, right? Syntax to name anchor. Basically, if you have a web page, that web page that you need to scroll up and down, or otherwise you have different segments. Like navigation bar, you have one tab, you have another tab, and you can basically scroll down. So that means your web page can have a different segment sections, right? So at that moment, in order to navigate very easily, we use this particular name anchor tag. So this is the anchor tag. You are defining the anchor tag. And here the syntax is start with the name and the label. Right? So when we are referring to that, so basically, we can have some div tags, so span tags and other HTML tags. So we have defined the name. So we are referring to that name with this hash sign, right? href hash sign. That means like within the same page, I have some HTML href particular element. So I just want to navigate to there. So you define with hash symbols. Right. This is the one example. So the example for that, link to the Google, right? So you have a normal HTML tag, and you can see when you click on the tag, and the attribute target is there, and you have defined it as a top. That means like when you click the visit Google button, you can see it's like a new document is appearing on the top. The document top document it will be open, right? Then the second example, image as linked to the URL official website. So the target is that. So yeah, you have this PNG image. If you click on that particular Canadian website, that particular image, what happened is you will whatever the Canadian university website, it will be open as a new document, but in another tab, right? That is the meaning of that blank, blank attribute, right? Any questions up to that point? Any questions? So let's say if you want to redirect it to another web page, right? So this is just the name I have given, zero link HTML. And if you want to open it in the same document, like as in this example. So if I change this to blank to self and hit the save button and run again. And refresh again. So you can see when I define that, the same it will be open in the same tab, right? Right. And link to a specific section in the another page. Even in the first week, I told you the structure of a URL. Instructor URL again. URL HTTPS www.cng.ac.lk. So maybe you have some query equal, you are passing your name, and apart from that, you can have this kind of hash sign followed by maybe like a form, right? That means you take the PM Colombo University website, And they have some navigation bar and they have some kind of section called which section again HTML element के name का पता करने. So the name you have given is home. Right. Link to specific section in the page, right? So that means, so this is the Colombo University website, right? And if you know, there's a section called home. Make it, I mean, like make it, whatever the section that you have named as, maybe home, right? At that moment, what you need to do is, ඔයාට මේ browser එක open වෙලා එතකොට web browser focus වෙන්න ඕන මෙතන home කියන section එකට. If you want to do that, you can use this method, right? You have a hyperlink over here. Click the document, I mean like the document that you want to open, and this is the hashtag. But here, as previously I mentioned to you, here you have to define the particular name followed by the hashtag and the target top. That means like it will be open as a fresh new document on the top of the existing document, right? So at that moment, you have to use this last example. Right. So I have explained that particular example more detail in here. So this is the document that you want to redirect, right? A document that you want to redirect. We have here an anchor tag called anchor tag name. So we can see something is start from the CTE and basically like within that particular anchor tag, you have defined the name with the H2 tag. So header file take a look at the pen and after that you have some paragraph. So by sitting on the like normal HTML document, if you want to open this new document and if you want to redirect to that particular section on the page, you have to use the last example that I have mentioned to you with that hash notation, right? This example. Right. So at that moment, the URL that will be, I mean, like this is called a, I mean, like even the first week I have told you, this is called the fragment. Method URL like a fragment that you can see. So that's how basically it works. Right. Up to this point, do you guys have any questions? Any questions up to this point? Right. So the next example is mail to link. So this is used to link a mail message. It will only work if you have installed a mail client software. Right? So let's say in your Amilat machine, if you have installed some mail client software like Sanagar, maybe like Outlook or something like that. Yeah. And no, remember? So let's say if you are making a website, right? In that particular website, you want your, basically you have a website and you have a contact us form, right? A contact us form, okay? There are some, but in most of the modern web pages, you have some, nice looking web form with you can enter the inputs and when you hit the submit button, basically there will be a mail sent to the whatever the who managed the page, right? But when it's come to the previous, normal HTML mail into links, this is what happens. So when you click on that, if you have installed the mail file software, you will be automatically redirected into your mail file software. So what happened is, let's say if I copy and paste the same example. Previous example, I have just Right. So you can see, I mean, like the whatever the HTML output, right? So let's see what happens. Send email. This is an email link, and this is an anchor mail into link. So what happens is, if you click on the first link, so I have already set up my Outlook for my computer. So you can see from, I mean, like that is my email address, right? And to address, it is actually already populated with the example123 at gmail.com, and the subject is already there. Basically, what you need to do is you need to type whatever the content that you want and send the email, right? If I click on the second link, so you can see apart from the, I mean, like the to sending it to the direct sender, I have this CC and the BCC emails, right? For advisors, and we have something on the body. So that is possible because of this mail into HTML element, right? So you can see this is an email ring. So in the within the href tag, I have mail to and the sample email that I want to send, sorry, that email address that I want to send the email, and the subject and course, subject equal to, you can say, I mean, like course materials. So in there, I have something like percentage sign with the 20. That means in that course materials, material space එකක් තියෙන්න ඕන. But the thing is, I mean, like it's called the URL encoding. Apart from character encoding, we have the URL encoding. ඔයා URL එකේ message එකක් හරි මොකක් හරි pass කරනකොට, assume if you have a space, the browser will exactly not recognize the URL. So at that moment, you have to hard code this particular symbol. It's like the same as the, I mean, like the character entities and the symbol entities. So this particular percentage followed by this 20, it denotes there's a space in the URL or that particular content. Send email, you can see. That is the first terminal, hyperlink. So the second hyperlink, so within that href attribute, I have mail to. So the first email that is for the direct sender, and you have the CC email, and with the ampersand sign BCC, you have the email defined, and the subject you can see the same as previous thing, but here with the ampersand body, you have the study hard to get good results and the send email. So when you interpret that with your web browser, what happens is if you copy and paste the same code, you just only need to remember how to, I mean, like how to define this href tag if you want to send the email, and how to define the, I mean, the correct wordings with the subject or the body, right? So this is the example. Send emails, right? So you can see I'm only like sending email to the first sender. And here I have the BCC and the CCB emails also. So you can see the direct example here, right? But when it's come to most of the, I mean, like Nivus content management system on the website, that you have separate plugins that you can install, or third party, I mean, like libraries that you can install to create a nice looking, I mean, like user interface. Basically, that the users can, I mean, like submit their user details or whatever the email and things, and when they can type the email body, and you can directly send, right? So up to this point, do you have any questions? Any questions up to here? Right. I have further explained here. මම එක මේ මෙතන explain කරලා තියෙන විදිහට තමයි මම එක example එකක් කරන්නේ. I mean, like I'm not going to, I mean, thoroughly explain everything with the practically. So yeah, you can see how it basically works. And the second link that I have outlined was advanced maintenance. Basically, apart from sending to one sender, which using this CC and the BCC, I mean, like attributes, I mean, like wordings that you can send to more than one particular sender, right? So up to this point, do you guys have any questions? Any questions up to this point? Right. HTML iframes. So a frame inside a HTML page known as inline, known as inline frame, iframe, right? So iframe. So there's a similar thing like a canvas. Within a HTML document, I mean, like within a particular HTML document, you can have some small amount of, I mean, like a small portion of that you, I mean, like that particular page window to create this iframe. A frame inside the HTML page known as inline frame, and it is known for the iframe. So you can see this is a HTML document. Inside that, I have some kind of frame that where that I can embed some PNG images. I'm not familiar with it. Either I can use some videos or not, but probably you can use to, I mean, like use that to, I mean, like have, I mean, like define some HTML pages. I mean, like you can, I mean, in the iframe, inside that particular iframe, you can highlight web pages and also the images, right? So this is how you need to do that. You have the iframe tag and the source. That means you have to define the URL. So that is the example that I have outlined. So this is the page. So basically this is redirected to a page. Again, HTML document frame you can like maybe like highlight web pages, but probably images and things, right? So this is the one example that I have outlined. You guys can just copy and paste, display the image. So I have given a name for that particular iframe, command frame, name maker in order to identify and in order to easily navigate. I have defined that particular name. So I have within that style tag, I have defined the width and the height. Again, size frame, size that I have defined that. In the source, I just have a GIF file. GIF file can you can contain some animation. It's a kind of like an image file, but basically you can see some like animated things, right? So I have an anchor tag, and it is separate to inside that particular iframe. Yeah, I have the anchor tag. Then there I have actually I mean like highlighted the URL for the some image, but in the target, I'm saying the target again, target again, the name of the iframe, right? So it says load some logo, and then the tag you have defined the I mean like the GIF image and the command frame. So what happened is right. What happened is in the initial I mean like the initial iframe window, you have defined a name, right? So basically you can see the iframes with the GIF image. So the second I mean like in the HTML text, if you click on this particular tag, what happened is there you have defined the target tag when not a common frame killer. So that means method HTML you are referring to calendar.png, right? So what happened is method within the earth sign. But when you click on that, this will affect to this particular iframe because target is common frame. එතකොට මෙතන load දෙන්නේ calendar.png කියන image එක, right? That's the thing. And here in the second HTML tag මේක එකේ image එක මම define කරලා තියෙන within this HTML tag. So the previous image, and if you click on that, එතකොට තියෙන image එකම load වෙනවා. If you click on the second link, right? So you can see, I mean, like, because I'm just give me 1 minute. Electric access කරන්න නැත්නම් මම electric කරනකොට access දෙන්නවා. Right. So that's how that example works. Give me 1 minute. Right. As I have already explained to you, with that particular hash notation, a hash that you use if you want to define to a specific segment of the web page. So here, in this particular example, I have a iframe defined here. Iframe එකේ මම මෙතන web එකේ මම මෙතන කියන මෙන්න මේ section එක with this particular hash notation, right? So what happened is we jump to a specific section within the like iframe. ඒ කියන්නේ ඇත්තටම කිව්වොත් ඔයා හිතන්න ඔයා තමයි මේ web page එක හදන්නේ. You are the one who are making the web page and you know there's a section name like that. ඒ වගේ section එකක් නම් කරලා තියෙනවා. It could be either some div tag, either it could be some span tag, a tag, like span element. So that element I have named as this with this particular name. And what happened is, in a particular item, if you did like that, what happened is, it will be open and the focus will goes to that particular section. When the section the iframe will be open with a focus on this particular section, because I have named this section as this particular name, and if you define with this fragment part, what happened is iframe, it will be open the particular web page and it will be focused here. And another thing, probably like if you try to like access to some other URL within this particular iframe, like www.google.com, I don't know about the Colombo University, probably it will give you an error, because in the previous like previously I have mentioned it because the content security policy. Now actually we are on the like normally in the web development environment, what happened is our computer acts as a local host. Local host we are actually one who is the one actually developing, and we don't have the like verification protocols like HTTPS, HTTP. So what happened is we are trying to integrate in a more secure site, www.google.com. Google.com, they have something like that. Define the security policies and thing, but if we are trying to navigate that to a particular like a secure web resource from our local host computer, it won't work. It will probably give you error, right? You can check that. So before moving in, do you guys have any questions? Any questions after this point? Right. HTML images. How to define the images in the HTML documents? Images are defined with the image standalone tag. The source attributes define the URL of the image. Actually, not the URL part. Images are defined with the image img tag, and the source attributes define the source attribute. SRC attribute define the URL or the path of the particular image. So syntax for defining the image, I have outlined the image SRC, and within that it's a value or the URL. You can use only the name of the image, and HTML document images are in the same directory path. Let's say, like, you know that, like normally in the Windows environment, we are working with the folders. But when it comes to the Linux environment, we don't have the folders, we have a directories, right? So let's say inside this particular folder called ICT, I'm making a web page. Web page ICT folder. You can only use the name of the image if HTML document and the image in the same direct path. Name part HTML page, and here I have some PNG images. Like within the same folder, right? And here I'm just referring to image SRC PNG. That means that I have the index HTML page in here, the index page, and here we folder PNG image, right? So I just define only the name. So web page and the particular web resources that you are referring to, like whether they are in the same, like if they are in the same folder path, you can only refer to the particular name. right? So here it is a GIF image, and that is in the same path. But what happened is a file path. I mean, like either this image could be in another folder. The index page image folder to top folder resources here. So inside that particular page, I have the images file. Or otherwise, may folder in images. So at that time, you need to like familiarize with how to define this file path. So that's why HTML path, a file path defines the location of a file in the website folder structures. Right? When you are deploying the web application and depending on the how you define the folder structure. How you define the folder structure? Normally, you need to arrange your image paths at the resource path, right? File paths are used to link different files. They are web pages, images, style sheet, and JavaScript, right? So the thing is, there are some more examples that I have highlighted. Image src calculator.php, that means that the image is located in the same folder as the current page. The example that I have already told you, right? And file this GIF image. So assume I have a image called so ICT folder. I have my indexes.html index page, and I have to carry some image, right? So image. And the second example, what happened is you have the images and forward slash followed by the image path. The image is located in the images folder in the current folder. So the second example, inside this particular folder, you have a folder called as images, and inside that particular images folder, you have the GIF image. At that moment, you have to define it as this particular folder path, images forward slash whatever the image name of the resource path. It could be an image, it could be some style sheet, a JavaScript file, right? That's why. Otherwise, like if you have a correctly defined the particular folder path of whatever is, that will like hinder the functionality of the web page. Style sheet load what happened is if you haven't defined the file path correct, folder path correctly, like page right? That's the thing. And the second example, picture.jpg is located in the images folder at the root of the current web. Root right. In the application that would be because I have the one like the previous application laboratory, the first lecture. I assume you have learned about in the like the Linux directory structure about this root. Starting from the root, you have some parent directories, and after that, likewise, if you are referring to this root, you know that mom measure के denote कर एक department root a file hierarchy के top file structure can top path करेगा. Have you guys learned that in the application laboratory lesson? Right? So this is actually with this I'm referring to the root take and file hierarchy ke තියෙන top folder assume මෙතන දැන් folder ගානක් තියෙනවනේ මේ direct එකේ. So හිතන්න මෙතන මං ඉන්නේ. So whatever the directories, I mean like you have the file hierarchy, I mean like folder path, but I think this is ICT folder and you are in the one particular මොකක් හරි ඒ කියන්නේ either you are in maybe like some kind of, I mean like this kind of. When you go to localhost users, you can see Acer. So documents download. මේ වගේ path එකක මම ICT කියන folder I mean like this kind of, I mean like a particular file path document එක ඇතුලේ. So I'm making some document known as I'm making a document as ICT and I'm making my website there, right? But what happened is inside here, I mean like inside any of this location, I have a folder called, I mean I have a folder as images, right? මෙන්න මේ වගේ තැනක images කියලා folder එකක් මේකට outside තියෙනවා. So this is the particular ICT folder and apart from that මේ කොතන හරි තැනක මේ I mean like මෙන්න මේ වගේ වෙන කොහේ හරි තැනක so I mean like මගේ තියෙනවා should be if it is root means Windows 11 ඕන users වලට ගියා Asus වල මෙන්න මේ හරි තැනක. So if it is Linux I can easily illustrate but when it comes to Windows මෙන්න මේ වගේ තැනකට තමයි root කියලා කියන්නේ. මේක තමයි file structure එකේ තියෙන ලොකුම තැන. මෙතන තමයි හැම ෆයිල් එකකම store වෙන්නේ related to the my I mean the user that I have defined. මගේ user ගේ නම තමයි Acer. So if you have a folder like here known as images and inside that folder if you have some web resources, so at that moment what you need to do is you have to define this slash. That means like I'm referring to root and inside the root I have the images folder and I have some web resources. So picture JPG is located in the images folder at the root of the current web. So that is the example that I can give you. And here I have dot and the / picture.jpg. Then the second web resource is located in the folder one level up from the current folder. So with some illustration I have explained here. Actually, I mean like in a real world scenario I have tried to showcase. So this is how it is happening, right? In the first example, assume the folder name A is the ICT folder. Web page. So this is the web page you have, and you have the hyperlink particular image link, and this is the image, right? That is the normal scenario. In the second scenario, what happened is, yeah, I have the web page. And in this folder, there's another folder called image, and I have the particular web resource that I'm referring to. In the third example, what happened is, so this is the root folder. Windows root folder C you go to the C drive, whatever the you go to the users drive, a user ke current user, mage user ke name එක තමයි Acer කියන එක. Inside that particular folder, I mean like it started from that particular Acer folder, it starts from the root, right? So root folder, and if you go to here, you can see images. I have image here, and whatever the location, මම මෙතන හිටියත් ඒ කියන්නේ මේ folder එකට තව folder එකක් හැදිලා ඒක ඇතුලේ මගේ index page එක තිබ්බත් if I am referring to this I mean like / that means root images and picture, I can refer to this particular web resource. And the second example, what happened is, sorry, the last example, one level up, right? So now what happened is, this is my web page. My web page again, I have this particular ./picture.jpg. That means like, may folder I mean like I'm now in the ICT folder, but ICT folder is inside another folder. May folder I have the my web resource. At that moment, I have used this particular notation, right? That's the thing. You are going one level up from the current directory. May dot sign that you are referring to. Simple keyword, right? So remember this particular illustration, right? Exam you may I mean like you may try to explain, right? Right. Insert an image to different location. Right. Style. So yeah, that's the same example. Right. Any questions up to this point? Any questions up to this point? Right. Adjust images to different sizes. Use the height and the width attributes to adjust the images width and the height. You can do it with CSS, but probably with yeah, you can do it HTML as well. Can be used percentages and pixel value to set the image size, right? So initial example, I have the image and within that particular image that I have defined width and the height. Because I said that with pixels, you know when it's come to pixel the particular single dot in a whatever the your laptop screen or the one whatever the screen that you are currently is called a pixel, right? So you can see with 100 pixel and the 100 pixels the height, right? So apart from that, you can define it with the percentage. So percentage, I mean, like they have a formula and things. You don't have to worry about that thing. If you define, the higher the cursor just I mean like arrow keys so yeah, likewise that. And here, this automatically adjusts the height by keeping the same proportion. If you define use that this particular notation, it automatically adjusts the height by keeping same proportion of the image. Avoid vertical or horizontal stretch. Like Photoshop, if you have doing some graphical Photoshop, in order to not to stretch a particular image, when you are resizing the image, you need to click the curve to the shift button. Click the image stretch honestly. So this is the same thing. If you define the width with this side, 120 without damaging the aspect ratio of the image, this will be automatically adjusted. Right. Right. So you guys can see, I'm now I just have a particular website. Let's say I'm assume that I'm the web developer, right? Mama the web development karagene anakota. So I'll be like inserting some images and things, right? Like that, right? So I'm seeing my screen only. Normally, I mean, like if you go to the industry, what samana extend karapu e wage laptop neme mono hari me wage screen dekak vitara labena ekata merge karapu, right? So by looking at the normal web browser, so if you want to, I mean, like this is how you normally see. මේ ඉමේජ් එකේ size එක වෙනස් කරගන්න ඕන. ඔයාට අමින් එක normally කරන්න ඕන. හිතන්න I mean like this is already built website, but assume go to here, go to inspect element, right? ඔයා web developer කෙනෙක් නම් මේක හරියටම දැනගන්න ඕන. Go to inspect element කොහොමද I mean like normally debug කරන්නේ? Debug කරනවා නම් I mean like you have to use this console. And apart from that, assume you need to change this logo. Logo එකක් දානවා. logo එකේ size එක ඔයාට I mean developer කෙනෙක් විදිහට change කරන්න ඕන, right? So here you can select the elements. මේ element එක select කරන්න පුළුවන්. මේක select කරාම yeah, this is the anchor tag. This is the image, right? මේ image එක තමයි දාලා තියෙන්නේ. මේ image එක දැම්මහම in the style tab you can see element style logo.image. image එකේ නම තමයි logo.image. So you can see the max width. So maybe like by looking at the screen, what is the person මේක මේ change කරන්න පුළුවන් by this using this inspect element, right? You can see what happened. Image එක තව ලොකු වෙනවා, right? පොඩි කරන්න ඕන තව කරනවා. ඔයාට තව style එකක් මොකක් හරි ඒ කියන්නේ ඒක stretch වෙන්න ඕන නම් HTML may contain some other whatever the element, I mean like styling text and other things you can define here. Make a some I mean like if you want to maximize this thing, you can see. So this is the way that you need to do. එහෙම බල බල මෙතනින් බල බල I mean like apart from here you can define some other styles also, right? Let's say I don't know whether it works. Let's see. Right, it's not working because I have already defined the width, but this is how you basically do that using the inspect element, right? Element ke size එක whatever the anything image or other resource, you just can I mean like see through your inspect element in web browser and you can change that, right? That's the normal way that you're gonna do. Right, aligning images. කොහොමද images align කරන්නේ? All right, normally in the word of humans also we are aligning our text, right? Text content. Okay, then that's over and word of humor. We go to this thing, aligning images, right? Defining the next element in the next, so you put a vertical align property inside this tag. Apart from that, when you go to update, we can use CSS, but this is another good option too, right? So you can see default alignment within this I mean like text I have one image over there, right? So that's how. In the second example, basically within that text I have image, but I have defined I mean like image SRC like is the referring to my image and the style. I have defined the width and I'm going to say vertical align. All right, vertical alignment in the sense. So the alignment to the vertical side. Vertical can you done now? Tirasatara alignment to vertical align baseline. So you can see in the normal scenario. Vertical align text top. Even when the text take a top, you guys can see this particular text area, it's gone up. No, image gone down. Text එක top එකට ඇවිල්ලා image එක පල්ලෙහාට ඇවිල්ලා. And the next one is vertical alignment text bottom. එතකොට image එක that is gone, that image is gone top and the text is gone bottom. And the vertical alignment in the middle, so you can see this correctly aligning at the exact center. So that's the one thing, vertical alignment attribute, right? Right. There's another thing. I mean, like, just don't try to memorize all these things. Just, I mean, like, load images. Right. So you can define inside this image particular text float. That attribute you can define left, right, none, inherit. So what happens is when you define it as float with the paragraph, if you want to, I mean, like float, they can I mean, like float කියන්නේ සිංහලයේ කියන එක පාවෙනවා කියලා කියනවා. හරියටම text එකේ කොතනද නැදෙන්න ඕනේ කියලා හරියටම කියනවා. So you have a paragraph over there and you have an image and float left means it will be appearing on the left side and when it's right, you can see it is appearing on the right side. Something that you need to know. Yeah, make a hyperlink of an image. Image එකක් කොහොමද click කරන්න පුළුවන් විදිහට use කරන්න. How do you, I mean, like make an image that is clickable, right? Basically, yeah, within this particular, I mean, like extract that hyperlink tag. So without closing, I mean, in the particular body of the anchor text, you need to define your image. That's how you're going to do it, right? So that may be clickable. So yeah, after that, we'll be moving into HTML table. So any questions up to this point? Right, HTML table. So use the table element to define a table. TR to table row, that means like defining table row. TD element to define a table data. TH element to define a table heading. Caption element to define the caption of the table caption. And the CSS border property to define the border and the border collapse. That means like I mean that when I'm doing the practical thing, border collapse. Adding to add the padding to the cells, text alignment property to align the particular text inside the table cell. CSS border spreading property set the space in between cells and the col span attribute to make the cell span many columns and the row span attribute to make a cell span many rows. Use the ID attribute to uniquely define the table, right? So, so I have highlighted the example over here. So you can see if you are defining table with the one cell, table, and I have only one table row. TR refers to the table row, and TR only have one TD tag, and I'm just saying a set, right? So the second example, I have a table with 3 columns and 1 row. That means that I only have a one TR tag, and I need to have 3 TD tags, right? You have the table, you can see inside that particular TR, that means that within that particular table row, I have 3 columns over here. And then, so this is basically one refers to the first row, first column, first row, second column, first row, third column. That is just to highlight what is the thing that we are doing. And you can see table with 3 rows and 1 column, and the table with 3 rows and 2 columns. That means here you have 3 TR tags. TR tag T columns means each particular TR tag should contains 2 TD tags, right? It's like looping. So this becomes the first row, first column, and the first row, second column, and the second row, first column, likewise that. So that is so simple, right? You only need to memorize table tag again. And probably T head table either it should have a caption and TR refers to the table row and TD refers to the table defining the table columns, right? And the table borders. So I told you about something like CSS borders and the border collapse kind of thing, right? Table with no borders, you can see. Table with normal borders, right? And table with thick borders, right? The border attribute is not supported in HTML5, but you can use CSS instead. But what happens is, when you define this kind of table, right? I just copy and paste, and I remove the existing content in my web document and save and hit the run button. So you can see, right? It's the border is like appearing like a thick border. A thick border can because with this table border property, I can either manually change it using the code, or basically, if you go to the index inspect element, like I have previously mentioned, right? So, and if you click here, go to the table, click so you can see table. I'm referring to this table. So make a method element values, I can change that, right? So you can see board change arrow keys only. Is it changing? Yeah, it's like dynamically changing. Mata hema value ka change karana nang I can do that, right? I mata kiya denna so likewise, without going to change the code, initially screen you can change it on your screen, and then later you can change on the exact value on your code, right? That is the easiest way. That I mean, like when you go to the industry, that you have to familiarize with this thing, right? So may board king when board collapse. Board no. Border collapse scalar. So that's why I have this table border property. If I am like if I maximize that, maybe like 41 means, that means I have a thick border, right? Border collapse but CSS, they do have a lot of things. This is from the normal HTML, right? Yeah, that's the thing. And remember, when you become a web developer, I mean, if you're doing something related to web development or any of the things, you become a C# or Java developer, still you have familiar web technologies, right? So at that moment, what you need to do is, initially you need to go to your web browser and see how it is working. May actually change after that, you can change in the code. Logo you can change likewise that. Right. Any questions up to this point? Right. So headings in the table. Headings in the table. Right. Headings in the table. So table border one, you can see inside this first particular text, I have the TH. That means like I'm referring to the table header. Header one, header two, so I have the two particular table cells as that, like that, right? TH refers to the, remember, table header. And the empty cells. Empty cell that I have to define. I mean, like normally you can keep this. I mean, like it's best to have a space. So that's why this character entity is there in BSP that I'm referring to a single space, right? That's called an empty cell, right? Table with a caption. Normally, if you are writing a Viva, sorry, not a Viva. I mean, like if you are writing a Viva report, maybe like PhD report. So I mean, like kind of like academic report. So you need to highlight this table with the caption also. There's a called figure caption. Figure caption. So in case if you want to highlight a caption for your table, right? So this is how you need to do. Inside this table, I mean, like table caption of the title goes here, right? That is how you need to define that. So example I already provided, right? And the border spacing and padding. Another two attributes that you need to remember, right? Border spacing is similar to the border color. So space between this border and the inside particular element. So I have defined pixels, right? This particular space. Padding in the sense, let's say, inside this table header. The table header heading to, I mean like I have a word called heading 1, right? Padding refers to the padding refers to the with regard to the like the parent element, what is the like expressed to the content? Like this is the parent element in the method pH element make a content. With regard to this, what is the like space? What is the space from here to here? Padding කියන්නේ අන්න ඒකට, right? So සරලව කියනවා නම් ඔක බලමු. Yeah. Padding is the space between the content and the border of an element. Border කියන්නේ එක දෙන parent element එක, right? So that means content is this particular text and the border element or the parent element. So that is the padding that you are normally referring to, right? That's it about the border spacing and padding. And after that, yeah, that means like normally in a particular Word document or Excel document, you have this, you are merging the cells, right? So for that, in HTML documents, we have this cells, row span and col span. And I think you guys can have a 15 minutes of break and we can have the lesson. We can like do the lesson after that, right? You guys can have a break and after that, we do the lesson. Okay. කතා කරන්න පස්සකට මොකෝ කිව්වේ ඔව් 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 හා වෙලාවට යන්න පුළුවන් දැන් බලන්නකෝ ඔව් 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 අනේ මං ලින්ක් එකේ දැන් මේ වින්ඩෝ එකක් දුන්න එකයි හරි බලන්න හරි හෙලෝ යශීෂා මේ මොකද යශීෂා මේ ඔයා LMS එකේ යූසර් කෙනෙක් විදිහට නෑ නේද එහෙනම් බලන්නකෝ ඒ කියන්නේ මට මේ යශීෂා කියන නම සර්ච් කරාම යූසර් කෙනෙක් ආවේ නෑ මට කෝස් එකට ඇඩ් කරන්න ඒකයි මේ අනිත් එක මේ මිනි මිනි ඔව් මේ අද කට්ටියට මිනි ප්‍රොජෙක්ට්ස් කියන්නේ මේ ඒ කියන්නේ මේ හෝල් එකේ හැරි මට මේ ලොකේෂන් එක කියන මිනි ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එකේ දැන් මාසෙකින් අපි මේගොල්ලන්ට මේ සුපර්වයිසර් මම අද මේ ඒගොල්ලන්ට කියන සුපර්වයිසර් මේ කට්ටිය කියන PDF එක අප්ලෝඩ් කරනවා. එතකොට මේ මාසෙකින් මේගොල්ලන්ට ડોකියුමන්ට් එක සබ්මිට් කරන්න තියෙනවා chart එක මොකක්ද එක වෙන්න ඕන. ඔව් ඒ මාසෙකින් මොකක්ද වෙන්න ඕන? ඒ මාසෙකින් ඒ ටොපික් එක ෆයිනලයිස් කරලා ඊට පස්සේ chart එක හරි මොකක් හරි සබ්මිට් කරන්නේ නැත්නම් මොකද්ද කරන්න කියලා අහන්නකො ෂූට්. හරි හරි ආශීෂ හරි 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 ඕකේ හරි Right. So I'm gonna, yeah, start back the lesson. So please ask to others to come quickly. Yeah. Cells span more than one column or row, right? That means if you have a, I mean, like a particular table, and if your particular table cell, or I mean, like a particular, I mean, like a column cell, if it needs to be, I mean, like expand over multiple columns or multiple rows, you have to refer to this row span or column span. What happened is, in the particular TD text, right? You can see this is the header file, metadata TD text refers to here. And if you refer to, I mean, like if you want to expand to this particular TD, I mean, like table header over these two columns, you need to use this column span attribute. It's going to be column take a particular that particular table header. It will be span over, right? You have defined it as two. Normal one is one method in our but defined two, so that will be span over two. I mean, like two columns, right? On the second example, in the second table row, you can see row span. That means that this particular row will be span up to here, but the column span is one. It can be a column but row any example like that particular cell will be span over. So the third one is normal. I will like the red element, and here normal like a table cell. In normally Excel now like a particular word in a word document if we have tables we call it we are merging the table cells, right? අපි merge කරන එක තමයි මෙතන HTML දී we are doing this with col span and cross span. So the example already highlighted in HTML. You guys can copy and paste and see how it behaves. Right. Tags inside the table. Yeah, that means like normally, even in a particular HTML table, in a one particular cell or particular maybe like even in header file, you can highlight images. Even the particular cell, may table like a minimum table like even in this particular table, may cell like you guys can have another table, right? So the code is already provided. I mean, like no need to memorize that thing. But remember, एक पुलवान केला वितरा right? So this is the example that I have here. Even in the table set, you guys can highlight image. And here, may table set like I have another table. Like for that, you guys can do that. Right. So the content alignment inside the content alignment inside the table, right? Just for your information. So how do you alignment the content inside the table? You have most probably the textual content like previously, like style attribute, and you have the name and the value. Name refers to the what is the name, like the attribute that you are going to change, and the value, right? Text alignment left to the left side. Text alignment left, that means January to the left and left to the January. And here inside the second table row, you can see text alignment center and to the right side and to the right side. So that just I mean like that's just for your basic information. and setting the background colors. So like in the previous example that I have already told you, background color, you can use the name or the RGB function or the hash, the hexadecimal color code, right? TH start with, you can change the, you can manipulate the style attribute. Right. Whole group, that means grouping the things together. This particular tag it specifies a group of one or more columns in a table for formatting. Making table columns group කරන්න පුළුවන්, logically group කරන්න පුළුවන්, right? This tag is used for applying styles to entire columns instead of repeating the styles for itself for each row. But yeah, when it comes to CSS, it is far more convenient. So this is the example I have provided. So here are the call spans. I have defined the call group tab, call span. That means like whatever the thing I'm doing, it should refer to this particular two column. Call span to background color. I'm referring to. Yeah, it's green. Is it? Yeah, sorry, it's green, but actually here you are just black. Okay. So this one is green. Make a column දෙකක් පුරාට color green වෙන්න ඕන. Other column row, other column it should be black data, that means like underscore color like purple. So otherwise here you can see money spent, PH. Yeah, this is the table headers and so on you have. But here, once I define the particular table, as soon as I define the particular table, within this column groups, I have defined this column group and I have applied some instance. But easily with CSS, you can do a lot of things. So that will be, we learn that later. And the table foot and table footer, then the table head and the table body. So basically, table footer tag is used to group footer contain the HTML document. And used in conjunction with the table head and the table body elements to specify each part of the table, right? So yeah. Normally, actually, when we are defining an HTML table, we are actually using normal table, then table head. You need to have a caption or not, then the table rows, and in this table rows, you have this TD text. But for more, clarity, you can use this table foot. You can have this table foot. Otherwise, you can arrange all these table rows and TD levels inside this table body tag. Then the table head we are already using. So likewise that there are more HTML table tags that you can familiarize with, and all these things are highlighted. And apart from the ones that I have already explained to you, I'm not going to ask you about any of the things because yeah, you have a lot of things, right? Right. Any questions up to this point? Any questions? HTML list, right? List we are using a list. Even if it's a Word document, we are using the same thing. So if you want to do this thing, HTML document, or if you want to dynamically generate whatever the list, normally something like yes, if it is some, let's say, Amazon kind of website or some, if you are making some website like shopping cart application, so you can see, something item like shopping cart, sorry, if you are making, some item to exhibit for the customers in your particular website, like a shopping cart, you can see some items are feeling like this. With format, one item, likewise that. Like in a grid format, items are here in like this. So dynamically, you can arrange the content even using this HTML list. So that is the more complex version. So when it's come to this list, for having an ordered list, we use this OL tag. And unordered list, we use UL tag. And create that as a definition list. That means like you have to define something and you have a description, right? I will explain that later. And DDTech, define the data element in the definition list, and DDTech, define the data definition in the definition list. So this is for the unloaded list. A unloaded list, okay, you can see in a normal default scenario. So you can see inside the UA tag, I have this with the I have defined the content with the LI tag, right? LI refers to the list item, right? With the dot, you can see unordered. Method number in there, I'm referring to it as unordered. I don't have no numbering system or no Roman numbers or any of the things, right? Just the symbols. That's why it becomes an unordered list. Ordered list, right? So I have numbering. I can number with take order either it is like a sequential format. So likewise, ordered list. I'm referring to ordered list, OL. So I have list items there. Right. So this is example for definition list. You have some items followed by the definition, right? So definition list start with this DL tag. And you have this DT tag. DT and what is the particular word that you are, like inside that you can like have that particular acronym or something like that. And DD definition, like exact definition. Again, a descriptive definition is you are defining inside this DD tag, right? So coffee, it is black hot drink, tea, black hot drink, like milk, white cold drink. So this is the definition, and this is the particular word that you want to define, right? So that will be defined inside with this DN, DTN, DD tag. So just remember the tag name only, right? So different types of ordered list. And in the first example, it was an ordered unloaded list with this, you have this whatever the highlight dot kind of thing. But if you want to have a separate thing, maybe like Roman letters or something, you need to use this. This is the OL, that means like ordered list. And within this style attribute, you can change the name and the value. List style. Lower alpha, upper alpha, decimal. If it is decimal, you can see by default you will be having that 1 to 2. That means the decimal number. Upper alphabetic. Like it's then like it's capital English words. So lower alpha means simple English words, right? In the alphabet. Right? So if you want to have Roman ones, you can say upper Roman. Again, Roman letters, but it is capital. And if it is if you want to have simple letters, that means like you have a lower Roman, right? That is how you define the have the different types of ordered lists. Basically, within this style attribute, you change the value and the name. This style type attribute, you change it to a lower Roman or any other thing as per your need. So different type of unloaded list. So that is for the ordered list only. Unloaded list, you can see same as previous example list style type. If it is some kind of DISC, so it becomes that kind of dot. And in circle, it becomes like second example. And it becomes square like this, the third example. And type none means you don't have nothing. And if you want to have some kind of image followed by some word like this. So this is some image that I have added. Image style. So you need to define the URL. Make it either it can be some kind of a web resource, web link, otherwise you will folder path, right? It could be a folder path in your computer, right? That's how basically it is happening. Right. Before finishing the list, nested list, right? That means inside the list element, we can have another list. So within this unordered dominant list, we have 2 items, and within this particular list item, we have a ordered list. P means likewise that depending on your need and the description, you guys can have it as per your need, right? Nested list. And start attributes in ordered list. So like if you are referring to, I mean like if you are capturing something in your Word document, so if you go to the, I think left side, so if you hover over the cursor over the particular number in of that particular title, you can change the starting number. You can make paragraph, make title, like make chapter, you can change that, right? So same as that thing, start attributing ordered list. You can define from which number it is done. Start 14, right? Then again, you have a nested list over there, and you say it should be start with the, it should be numbered with number 5. You can define that number in also, right? You can basically customize. Right. So HTML head. Any questions up to this point? Hello. Yeah, lecture ini kena kerja. Okay. Any questions up to this point? Any questions? If you have anything, just let me know. If I'm doing, I mean, too fast, I can, I mean, like slow down or just anything, right? So yeah, the thing is, I mean, like because I have already highlighted the practical content and the code itself in my, I mean, like slide. So I'm not going to do all the example. I just provide what needs to be done. And I think these slides, it actually can, I mean, like presentation, it contains like around 168 slides. So you don't need to remember all the things. So even, I mean, like from today's lecture, I will do only a part and I will give you some part to study, right? So I will tell you what to do. HTML head. So this is the kind of like a part of the HTML document, this hashtag, right? Head element is a container for the metadata. I told you last week metadata refers to the information about this particular website. HTML metadata is data about the HTML document, and metadata you cannot get this set, right? Metadata typically defines the document title, what is the character set, URL encoding mechanism, any other style sheet, links, script, and other meta information. The following tags describe the metadata: title, style, meta, link, script, and the base. So inside this metadata, you can have, I mean, like this HTML tags defines the title, HTML document. If you have any CSS, external CSS sheets or some bootstrap based, I mean, like some external style sheet, you can use this style tag. Link used to link to external style sheets, and also meta used to specify which character set is used. I told you like URL encoding mechanism that UTF-8 inside this meta tag. Character encoding, I mean like some character or something like that, and UTF-8 is there, used to specify which character set is used. Paid description, I have already explained that previously. Script used to define client-side Java script, maybe like jQuery based libraries, and all the things can be highlighted in here. Base specifies the base URL and base target for all related URLs in a page. I will explain this later. So the meta element is used to specify the character set is used, page description, keywords, author, and other metadata. And metadata is used by browsers how to display the content. Depending on the display, depending on the whatever the device that you are using. So whatever the content that you have posted inside this meta tag, it will be rendered by the browser and then display accordingly. And also whatever the information that you highlight inside this meta tag, inside this particular head element, it is used by search engine for search engine optimization and other necessary web services. Right? So let's see whether I can access some meta information. I don't think it's possible, but right. So this is the LMS, and through the inspect element, I have access to the its meta information, but I can still see the meta information, right? So inside the head element, so you can see the title. So you can see the title, online learning management system, and as I have already explained to you, link is there, and meta. Meta here technically you can see meta HTTP equivalent. The content type is content type and the character encoding mechanism, and the name, meta name, keywords. Meta name එක දාලා තියෙන keywords කියලා content. Moodle online management system faculty of technology. So meta name keywords, that means like I mean, like, let's say, whenever some particular user, I mean, like, let's say, assume you are a student and you are just trying to, I mean, like, you are on you go to the Google and Google, like, you are type, something like UOC, University of Colombo, Moodle killer. You are just writing the entire, I mean, like, the website name, like, LMS, tech killer, what type University of Colombo. Then Moodle can type karama, so it will be give the suggestion. So the Google itself, I mean, like already index color data. Where web page is from meter index color data. Google uses a technology called web crawlers. They have the servers, web servers is there, and they use some software called web crawlers. From time to time, this web crawler go to the entire content of the World Wide Web. Is whatever the relevant information, they will be cached inside the server. It's cache then when you hit the URL or when you go to your web browser and type something, it is easy for that particular Google servers to give this thing. So when you are doing this meta name keywords. So you just type only the part of the particular URL or the web page. A web page again, type type but the Google server or whatever the indexing, whatever the web services, they will be identified because of these keywords, right? That's the thing. What of type and that is why you have these keywords, and that is actually helping search engine optimization also, right? That's the different thing. So link, you can see a style sheet, and you have the script, and you have defined the char set. Likewise, that lot of metadata is there, right? Script. So yeah, that's a one particular example. So, and I explain you what. So title defines the title of the document, and it is required in all HTML, XHTML documents. XHTML can earlier version of HTML5. And style defines the style information for a single web page. Link used to link to the external style sheet. Meta used to specify the character set, script, JavaScript. and it specifies the base URL and base target for all related URL, right? So meta element is used to specify which character set is used, page description, keywords, and used by the browsers to display the content. So if you define, I mean, like inside this metadata, character set, UTF page, define the character set used. Earlier we have this ASCII, but UTF unified, I don't remember the acronym. Like to convert the Sinhala and showcase the Sinhala, we have Unicode. But when it comes to UTF, it does have covered whole lot of characters and whatever the symbols all around the world and all sort of languages. So that is more clear when you are entering the content from the web server. Define the character set using the char set keyword and the name description. That means content. Define the description of your web page. And the keywords, define the keyword for search engines. I explained to you that. And define the order of the web page. So you can have idea of, like the web server or whatever, the people that who are browsing through the web page can understand who are the exact developer, the author. And HTTP, this particular notation, you call it like QUIV. And within that, I have the quotation refresh and the content. That means I can define the number. Refresh document every based on the number that you have defined here. Page automatically refresh if you highlight this as the meta information and the name, viewport, content with device with equal and scale 1 to 0. That means like give the browser instruction of how to control the page dimension and scaling. I know like it's hard to memorize that, so you don't need try to memorize. So making this viewport, depending on the browser that the users are actually invoking in your website, website this will be table text like this. I don't remember the attribute name that you need to get. Page landscape portrait like this is the landscape. So we have that. This is the portrait and this is the landscape. So if let's say like depending on the device, you can in there you can define if it is a mobile device or some kind of device. My particular web page, it should be the direction should be for landscape. Like that, you can define over there from that viewport particular attribute tag. Right? So that's about the metadata. And one thing I have is base URL. So base tag. It specifies the base URL and base target for all relative URLs in a page. Inside this particular base tag, let's say you are in the www. Let's say this is my web page. My web page එකේ ඇත්තටම මගේ URL එක. So it's like so this is my actually the website that is hosted that become my URL, right? So that is when I highlighted that in the base tag, what happened? Base name you call it www.navod.com. And what happened is it is easily, like a web page you have separate sections. You do have sections, right? Maybe page maybe header. This is a one particular section. Main section name karaddi, you will be given a name as metenda namak dena mokak hari metenda initial header, metenda second header kela. Let's say if you define that kind of particular URL inside the base, right? So what happened is it specifies the base URL and base target for all related URLs in the page. When you are, when we are doing that particular anchor text, hyperlinks target attribute let's say inside your website you have some like hyperlinks. A hyperlink එක click කරන ගමන් ඔයාව එතකොට you have this base URL. මේ base URL එක තියෙනවා. So මේ HTML tag එකේ මේකට අර video වෙනවා. This is your URL. You have a section called initial header. මං කිව්වා විදිහට initial header එකේදී ඔයා එතකොට මේක කරපු ගමන් වෙන්නේ so without defining a URL මේ hash symbol එකත් එක්ක මේක කරපුවම මේ particular when you click on that particular anchor ඔයා එතන section එකට navigate කරන automatically. That means like if you want to easily navigate through your web page inside the meta tag, you will define that base URL. So with that particular anchor tags and the necessary hyperlinks, if you define like that main nama section with the hashtag, so you can easily navigate. That is why I need this base meta tag, right? That's it. Right, HTML forms. So when you have a web page, I mean, like when you are a web designer, so in order to make your website more dynamic, you have this HTML forms, right? So that means like if you have a normal web application development project, if you have a signing, I mean like a signing component, maybe registration component, maybe like if you are getting student attendance, maybe like you are registering a student. So for that particular purpose, you can have this HTML form, right? Last week I told you about wireframe design. May wireframe design so initially you can think of input what kind of input that I'll be adding into my web page, right? Or this component. Let's say if it is a student management system, you have initially a login site, right? You can log in on for login. I need to have two inputs, maybe two labels, maybe like another label for defining the title and things, right? So that means if I use this HTML forms concept inside the form, I mean like HTML inside the HTML form, right? If I define all these inputs and things, so that is easy for me to transfer the necessary data that I'm taking from my front end to the back end for server side processing. And that's why we need to have this HTML forms, right? That is the simple explanation about HTML forms. An HTML form contains form elements. There are a whole lot of form elements are there. Form elements are different types of input elements like text fields, you have checkboxes, radio buttons, submit buttons, and more, right? Text field. So you can see adding text fields. Whatever the input or whatever the thing that you are defining or anything that you are doing here, remember you need to highlight inside this form tags. And form can have actually attributes like action. Form can have a name, and even you can give some particular unique ID. And apart from that, there's another attribute called method. Either it should be get and post. I will explain that later. So here, first name. This is how I define some inputs like text field inputs, right? I have the name followed by the colon. Then using this input type. Type undefined it should be text. And I have given a name and the last name, right? So adding text field that can take textual content and password field. So if you want to have a login application or something, this is how you're going to need to do password and the input type instead of text, it should be type should be password. Adding a text area. Text area in the sense it's like this is a normal text field of the password field, but text area that is much bigger, right? Text area you can give a name and you can define the columns and the rows. That means like defining the width and the height, right? So address it's a kind of like a text that you can like a showcase like a placeholder. So there's another input like text area, right? Right. So this is also inside the form and in the radio button. You have the username, password, and the gender. So input type. So radio button, when it's come to radio button, you can only define a mutually exclusive way. Right? Remember that thing, mutually exclusive way. Only one event can occur in a one particular time. Let's say like rolling the dice. If you roll the dice and throw it away, it will give you some kind of like a number, right? You can see the number. Always it should be a one single number, right? You can have the 2 and the 5 at the same time. And apart from like when it comes to sex, so it should be male or a female. You cannot have both at the same time, right? Rolling the dice, having a sex, and like so. These are all the mutually, like exclusive event. So it's called the mutually exclusive event. So these kind of events are called the mutually exclusive event, and radio bands are used to define these mutually exclusive events, like getting the gender, right? So you can see input time at that time, type would become the radio. Name, you are giving it as sex, and the value should be male. And you have another input. But remember, you are giving the same name, right? You have the same name, but the value is only changing. That means like during the runtime when you are submitting your HTML form, and if you define the same name, that means that you can only click one radio button at a time. They one button click right? So for that, you need to define this name, like same name for this two input type radio levels, right? That's the thing. And the group in the radio buttons, right? Yeah, that's right. Like when you do the same name, these two part of the elements, it will be logically grouped. Logically can have the paint the program it will be grouped, right? When you give the same name. So dynamically when you are submitting the value group during the like when you submit the four values, so may they can click only the value, whether it is male or female, right? So yeah, that's the example. And now we have the checkboxes. So these things are not mutually exclusive, right? They are mutually exclusive there. So what happens in the checkboxes is we can have a lot of checkboxes, but we can select multiple checkboxes and then given same type. So the input type input type should be checkbox. Name should be like privacy. Like we can have the same name, but unlike the radio type, this is not like storing. No, this is not for handling the mutually exclusive value. Basically, if you have a lot of checkboxes, like tick on the type of the document to identify you, you can select NIC, student record book, student identity card, and not this. So it's like having more than one option at a one particular time. Type input type is only checkbox. But remember, make it but the thing is when you have the checkboxes, you can select more option more than one option at a single time. Right? That's the thing. Adding the check boxes. Right. Any questions up to this point? Any questions up to this point? Right. Input type checkbox, that means that if you always wanted that particular rate, I mean like a checkbox item to be checked. So you can have attribute called check. Other type to go in the checkbox, there should be privacy, there should be something like that. And yes. And you when you do the check, I mean like if you define the checked item and inside the quotation marks, if you have it as check, that means that this thing will be automatically when you are web page load, it will be automatically checked. That's the thing. Simple drop down box. This is same as the radio buttons. Inside the form, you can have the select, name, gender, like a radio button options, right? And you can give the options, option name, and inside this select HTML text, name should be gender, and you can give many options as per your need. But remember, like in the radio button, you can select only one option like this in a one particular given time, right? That's the thing. And because this is inside this particular select drop down list, it is automatically with that particular name, it is logically grouped. You don't have to worry about like radio buttons. And selected attribute. Whenever your web page load, if your drop down need to be selected at one particular item, right? You need to use this selected attribute, like that checked attribute. Selected should be selected, you can see. And when the web page load, they can select whether right. Any questions up to here? HTML buttons, right? So inside the form, you can basically have input type එක එතකොට වෙනස් වෙනවා button කියන එක විතරයි. And button on click, I have defined some JavaScript functions. That means that when you click on the button, එතකොට what needs to happen next, right? I'll be calling to some method or I mean like a function in JavaScript. We'll do that later. But remember, මෙතෙන්දී වෙනස් වෙන input එකේ type එක තමයි button කියන එක. So the value is already there. Some you can define some value. So that is how you define the HTML button. So this is two examples, edit, submit, and reset buttons, right? Inside the form, I have some kind of like the application that takes first name and the last name. So input name time. Sorry, these are some special buttons. So that button previous it was, yeah, this is the normal way you define a button input type. It's obviously a button, normal button. But here, so here actually I'm declaring two types of buttons, right? Input type, it is submit, and input type reset. Now actually, logically, all these things are placed in the HTML form. Right? When I hit the input type submit, මේ button එක click කරපු ගමන් වෙන්නේ probably, I mean like not probably. So you can I mean like define in a way to take all these values and send the data to the necessary whatever the script or other any other PHP script or some other script or some JavaScript, I mean like a function like JS, I mean like maybe like a Ajax to perform something, right? May submit කරපු ගමන් මේ value ටික submit වල other things will be happening. And if you write input type reset, in the sense may form ඇතුළේ තියෙන input දෙකක් තියෙනවා, it will be the values will be already I mean like clear whenever, right? So this is a reset. So input type reset instance, this value all will be clear. And if you type I mean like the click the submit, that means what happen is you can, I mean, like after that data, you can define what need to be happen from the server side. Values take a server side again, process in the communicator, you can define that later, right? Add in, submit, and the reset two types of buttons. Right. Up to this point, do you guys have any questions? So actually, we've been talking about all these things. I mean, this was get and whatever the people have submit, the creating server side programming. So, any questions up to this point? Right. Post and the get methods. Get request actually taken the data from a specified resource and check the URL. Hi, make it මෙහෙම. So, unfortunately, I don't have any marker pens. Right, I'm just copy and paste this example. Remember, so method HTML form එකක් තියෙනවා, right? HTML form, and inside this HTML form, I have a label, two inputs, and input type, submit type button, right? මෙතෙන්දි වෙන්නේ මම මේ, so I have two inputs, input type එක text එකක්, අනිත් එක text එකක්. So getting the first name and the last name, right? What happened is when I hit the submit button, inside this form tag, I can define an action. Normally, here, there, I'm actually defining a web page that actually, I mean, like, I need to send data. May data send me to the page. Then after that, so make a method should be get. So submit once I submit all these things inside the form, I just, I mean, like this, let's say I wrote something to first name and last name, and once I hit the submit button, take the data and I mean, like send my data to the action page.php. Action page. That is the simplest explanation that I can give you, right? That's defined by the action attribute. Page. Destination will be defined in the action, right? So basically, inside this particular form, I can also define the method, whether it is a get or post. Normally, post here in the so value will be appended to the, I mean, like if you use the get method, that means that you will send your data to the destination, but value will be appended to the your URL, part of the URL. That is not secure. But when this comes as a post, you are sending the data inside the HTTP protocols body, I mean like body, right? So you cannot see the value, I mean like from the server side, but you can take the value and you can, I mean like basically send any number of, I mean like size of the content, maybe like you can even send, I mean like kilobyte stuff to the megabyte. So that is okay. But remember, get and post. So it's like this. I think. So when you use the get method, so a color pen Right. When you use the get method this a get method declared when you are integrating the action.php form එක submit කරපු ගමන් ඔයාලට integrate වෙන action page එකට action page.php so at that time the browser ඒ වෙලාවට ඔයගොල්ලෝ get method එක use කරනවා browser URL will be like this. I mean in the website called navod.com, right? So you will be integrating action.php at that time URL a URL එකේ අගට you have the section mark query. So this name is label number ID name should be f name. So equal to now the value was submitted to the this particular first input and the last name it should be Niranjan. So that means all the parameters I'm sending to the particular my destination. It is visible on the web browser, right? So that's the thing. So that means it is not secure. A parameter is visible. But if you use the post method, they form in a submit method take a post when I hit the submit button. But what happened is I actually redirected to my destination, but the whatever the content that I have already written and the type, it is not visible in the URL. It will be appended to the HTTP protocol body and like HTTP protocol body, and through the post method, it will be sent into the destination, and you don't have to worry about the security or any other thing. So compared to this get method, post is more secure, and we'll be talking about in detail about all this method when we are doing the server side scripting part, right? And up to this point, do you guys have any question? මෙතෙන්ට වෙනකම් ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවද? Any questions up to here? Right. Send emailing from the prompt. Actually, I mean, like kind of like this thing. Actually, it's not actually used nowadays, but you don't have to even memorize. Monkey would memorize kara no na kilam potta kon mata kadi agan try karana pa. So because I mean like at this moment when we are making the web application or content management system, so we have some I mean like plugins or like relevant libraries that we can do this easily, right? Send email from a form. So form action, you can see, I mean, like likewise, we have used the mail to example, mail to text, mail to, you can define the email, method is post, and whatever the encoding type, multi-part form data, right? Multi-part, that means like encoding type. That means multi-part form data. That refers to the, if we are uploading some file to the whatever the input, method, input file upload කරන්න දෙන්න පුළුවන්. Maybe like you can I mean like have a upload PDF file, Word file, and once you hit the submit button, ඒක server side එකේ save වෙන්න දෙන්න පුළුවන්. Right? That's why I have this multi-part form data, and you have the input name, subject, and the text, and you can type a message, and when you hit the submit button, like in the same mail to example, so email will be sent. But actually, this example, I mean, like you cannot replicate in a normal environment. This is not supported. But as I have already mentioned to you, probably there are some, if you are using WordPress, there are some third-party software so libraries that you can embed it into your form, and you can easily do I mean, like without worry, because when you do this example, you need to connect to the SMTP server, mail server, connect. There are a lot of processing happening, but you cannot replicate in a local host environment, right? Make a මතක තියාගන්න try කරන්න එපා. And right, HTML form elements. A form I told you can define some text areas, maybe like input type, button, maybe submit, reset, and so many things, right? And apart from that, if it is some kind of login application, maybe like a data submission application, you need to validate your inputs. You validate student name name length should be this type, and it should only name you cannot take the numbers, right? You cannot do that, and there's a range likewise that. So when it's come to this form elements, you can see input type range. Type the range to the I mean, like you can define the minimum and the maximum. That means that you can only type a value between these two values only, right? There are some inbuilt HTML validation method. Input you need to validate that, right? Let's say if you are doing the mini projects and you will do a final some lecture, they will be in the panel, there will be some lectures and they will be asked you to value submit. You have some student like information submission system and student name. Instead of student name, you will be submitting some numbers, right? So if you have not validated that, you like basically the value, if you enter a number, it will be going to the database, right? So it's not a correctly like a proper way. Like it's not a proper like a web development way. So like if you have not validated your input fields in your web application, your website, it will be vulnerable to cross-site scripting attacks and SQL injection attack. Remember that. Later, like you guys can learn later when you are doing the information security lecture, maybe in second year. What are those attacks? Remember, there will be security vulnerabilities. That's why you need to validate all your input. So form elements, there are ways that you can validate even using the range and some other sort of attributes are there. And if you want to, like to define input, file means it will be a file upload. A file upload current and also in that particular input element, you can define what kind of file. Only PDF file. You can define as that. May input a PDF file upload you can define like that. And input time, date time means it will give you a date time picker. Right? Date time picker. So you can take the string values from the form. Right? Likewise, so much of examples are there. And yeah, input type, button, checkbox, color, date, email, file, hidden image. So much of things are there. So just remember, like the overview of this input type elements, right? Right, these are some form elements. Right. So I'm not going to ask about all these things in the exam. For the exam, I will tell you from where that I will be asking you the question. So it is easy for you to like answer whatever the questions that I'll be giving in the exam paper. Right. Any questions up to this point? Any questions up to this point? Right. Now the form elements are done. So we'll be doing that in detail in the PHP server-side scripting. So this part, HTML5 attributes, right? Autocomplete, autofocus, form action. So I have highlighted the video over here, autofocus, form attribute, then yeah, form action, submit. The example I have already explained to you, for the wellness, encoding type, form validate, how do you validate the forms, form target, list, right. This part actually is for your self-study, right? I'm not going to teach you all the things here. Like, so if you try to memorize at least all these things, so it will be really hard for you, I know that. So, but the thing is, I'm going to tell you some places that you need to look into this particular site. So, with regard to the forms, that HTML forms, because actually when it's come to HTML document or a web development, everything is bound with this HTML form mechanism, right? Whatever you are doing server-side, descriptive, client-side things. So, it's like, you need to submit data to using the HTML form. So you need to be, like at least try to, like memorize this. What is this form attributes and the necessary methods. And this list multiple, it is no need. And pattern, placeholder, remember that thing. Again, when you are typing the input, you can say if it is some kind of name input එකකට ඔයාලා දෙන්න පුළුවන් මෙතන type කරන්න පුළුවන් නම name කියලා first name last name so you are just indicating your users what to submit so placeholders that will be please I mean like study that thing required keyword required attribute step I won't ask anything HTML file I don't ask anything right HTML canvas so it's like a kind of a like an element you should draw graphic that means like basically you can even create HTML I mean like games and also the SVG that means like scalable vector graphic so remember that thing මේක මතක තියාගන්න comparison and geolocation in case like Google Maps I mean like if it is like a mobile application, if you want to have the Google API or something embedded in your web application, you need to use this geolocation API. And yeah. And HTML5 semantic elements, right? Just try to, I mean, like self-study the things that I have mentioned to you. Starting from this form elements. Yeah, form elements and this HTML, SVG images and canvas. And also this last part, what is this? Semantic elements. What are the semantic elements? Because in web development, I mean like in responsive web development, there are some HTML tags that we have to familiar with. Example of non-semantic elements, right? Div, span. In order to logically group the whatever the your components or things, we use this div tag. Non-semantic කියන්නේ ඒ tag එකේ ඇත්තටම තේරුමක් නැහැ. This is something important that I'm telling you, even though I asked you to study. මේ tag එකේ කිසිම meaning එකක් නැහැ. But we are using this div and span tags. Why we need that, right? In order to logically group, I mean, like in the responsive design items, we use this div. Even we can define the columns. I mean, like the yeah, that's why we use this. So we call it, I mean, like semantic element, right? Example of semantic element from table article clearly defines in context, but when it comes to this non-semantic, so you need to remember div span, especially when it's come to the web development. So try to study these things. And yeah, I have last part of the lesson, I have highlighted this some examples, right? So that's it. And next week, probably next week, I will be starting the CSS. There are something I need to cover. HTML and XHTML, then the XML language, and after that you will be learning about CSS, JavaScript, and then later PHP, right? Right. So that's it. So last part, only the mentioned part, please self-study, as I have already mentioned to you. And any questions up to this point? Any questions? So I have recorded the lecture, maybe like once I have a free time, I will upload the lessons later. And if you guys have, I mean, like nothing to say, so I can wind up the session. මෙතන 57ක් තියෙනවා. Outside on behalf of others, how the animal candidate. But we have time now, 11th grade. How the which one always right. Which one is one which and if I can figure out the problem. Next, how the Bandara is so later have Bandara BSS, right? Bandara WSS, Banu, Mori, America, Dominica, sorry, Ravishu, after yes, England, insan, underwater, क्या is there. Yourself. Yourself exists. Alpana. Sorry, Alpana. Arnab Deviya. Yes. Who? You know, no. Hey, everybody calling me to get around. Arnab Deviya, right? Right. How do you think, yeah? Krishna? Krishna, KK. Lakshika, Madhubhashini UPA, Sapna हो मनोहरसी हो बेटा ये लिखा क्या है विद्रो या विद्रो हाँ तेरे की हेचान करेगा WB से हेचान समुद्र के प्रमोद्य प्रमोद्य प्रतिभा क्रम या प्रेरणा से बिल्कुल प्रेरणा से किए लेते प्रेरणा से डमी में चले महेश सतंगा पत्नी अगर आगे की ऑलरेडी बन गया है मेरा पत्नी की पत्नी के लिए इसका समर अनुति संदर्भ आरआईडी साहित्य और टेक्निक THS Vijay Kaur, let me Vijay Kaur. Así es, la acción de la que más me you know, we are correct. Other one already. Yeah, it's different. Ganesha, Krishna, KK. How they can find that? Whom type of three people? Only have six people. How to find that? Take the another. Right, so let me get the lecture for 10 years. Very kind of year starting on 10 lecture, right? So I'll wind up the session today and we'll meet on 1 p.m. You have mathematics lecture, right? Have a nice day and please Amila may Tundana take care of the end.